What's up, guys? We are back with Week 8 NFL Sunday action. Let's dive in and break down all these games and find the value out there in an action-packed Sunday. If you want to win all of your bets this weekend, hit that like button. It's good luck and shows support for the channel and all the hard work we're putting in here every single day. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on our daily content. You can also now sign up for a channel membership by clicking the little join button right below the video. Members get exclusive early access to all NFL and college football videos and get their names up on screen just like right now. I really appreciate the support from all of you. Seeing that badge next to your comments keeps me fired up and motivated to make this channel even bigger and better. Our videos are sponsored by StumpTheSpread.com. We have a team of experienced cappers over there for every major sport, currently covering NFL, NCAA football, NBA, MLB, NHL, and the UFC. This is one of the best times of the year to be in the mix with so many sports going on. Click the link in the description if you're interested in signing up and also to join our free email list to get the occasional free or premium pick straight to your inbox. If you're interested in peer-to-peer sports betting where you can make your favorite bets against real people and pay only 1% juice, click the link in the description to check out BetOpenly, the best peer-to-peer betting site on the web. Comment below with any bets you're looking today and we will give you our best advice on all of them. We are committed to responding to every single comment every day, so let us know anything you want to say about my picks, these videos, or anything you see here. As always, our favorite picks will be in the pinned comment down below. Now let's get into our first game of the day. We've got the Philadelphia Eagles going on the road to take on the Cincinnati Bengals. The Eagles come into this game, guys, fresh off of a nice win last week. They blew out the New York Giants. Yeah, I know it's only the New York Giants, guys, but still a nice win, and winning 2 in a row there for the Eagles has to feel good despite those wins being against very bad teams. Yeah, they're trying to hang in there, guys. The Eagles have had a kind of a rough way to go. Jalen Hurts last week, guys, completed 10 of 14 passes for 114 yards and 1 touchdown while being sacked 4 times. This passing game is getting really weird and really concerning for me here. For the Eagles, we saw Saquon Barkley go absolutely nuts last week, though. Got to give the dude major props out there. It was super cool that he was, wasn't trying to go for his, career record. He was just trying to let the young guys eat. So that was very cool of him. 176 yards and a touchdown on 17 carries. We also saw Kenneth Gainwell look very good in the running game also. So yeah, the Eagles didn't really need to pass the ball, but it kind of feels like sometimes they can't. I don't know. Not a lot of confidence going around in Jalen Hurts at the moment. So we'll see how that goes. A.J. Brown did have a big game there. I mean, 89 yards and a touchdown, nothing wrong with that. And yeah, the Eagles dominated in that game. No doubt about it. A very good game for them after a scoreless first quarter. On defense, they looked fantastic. Not even giving up, triple-digit passing yards there. Holding Daniel Jones to 99 passing yards. They sacked the poor guy 7 times. That Giants offensive line looked really bad. Yeah, just a very dominant game there from the Eagles. They forced, what did they force? No turnovers, I guess, technically, but it felt like they were forcing turnovers the way they were just dominating this game. So, yeah, major props to them on their win last week. They're going to need to see if they can carry that over here to take on a much tougher opponent, the Cincinnati Bengals, who they've won 2 in a row also, including a win over the Giants. They, too, have beaten the Giants and Browns. So, not the toughest opponents out there. Their 3 wins this season are against Carolina, the Giants, and Cleveland. And all 3 of those wins have come on the road. They're still looking for their first home win, but when you faced Baltimore, Washington, and New England, I know that week 1 loss against New England looks really bad, but it was week 1. Weird stuff happens in week 1. So we'll see what the Bengals can bounce back and do here, guys. I mean, we do see Higgins questionable there with a quad injury, but we're pretty much expecting him to play in this game. Last week, Joe Burrow looked good. 15 of 25, 181 yards, 2 touchdowns. He was sacked 3 times, so that's a little bit concerning, but the running game looked, kind of mediocre, so they really needed Joe Burrow there to carry the load, and he found a way. We saw T. Higgins have a pretty good day. Jamar Chase looked all right. 5 catches, 55 yards, and a touchdown. Higgins and Chase both with touchdowns in the game. Obviously, very good stuff there. Kind of missed the Bengals being able to run the ball. That would help a lot, but yeah, Higgins taking a quadricep injury there during Friday's practice is definitely a concern. I do think he'll play in this game. He might not be at 110%, but I think he'll be all right out there. I'm not that crazy worried about it, but definitely something to keep on mind here as the weekend develops. In terms of their defense, guys, Cincinnati, not gonna lie, has not been amazing this season. Obviously, giving up only 14 points last week is great, but that was against the Cleveland Browns, so we're not gonna overreact to that. Over the course of the year, guys, they are 20th in the NFL, allowing 23.7 points per game, and they just haven't looked good on defense against the better team. So we'll see if the Eagles fall into that category here, guys. Looking at some numbers for this game, the Bengals, they're minus 2.5. We've got an over-under out there of 47.5. The Eagles 3-3 against the spread, 4-2 to the under. Cincinnati 4-3 against the spread this season, and 4-3 to the over. guys, I like the Bengals in this spot a very reasonable amount. Joe Burrow's facing an inexperienced defense here with, the Eagles probably going to be without Dallas Goedert. I know that's not a defensive player, but they're going to be missing at least one starter from the offensive line. And in this, particular scenario, the most important part here, the Eagles are going to have 2 rookies starting on defense. That is something that Joe Burrow is going to be able to absolutely pick apart. Burrow is 22-6-1 when facing a team that just covered, and overall, guys, he is 63% against the spread in his career in that spot. He is 70% against the spread against teams that are over 500. The public is coming in here on the Eagles. We are fading that. Give me the Bengals here at -2.5. And in terms of the over-under of 47.5 out there, guys, I'm going to shade a bit towards that over. I think we'll see a good amount of offense in this game, with the Bengals eventually coming out on top. But my bigger play in this one, definitely going to be the Bengals here at home. Next up, guys, we got the Baltimore Ravens going on the road to take on the Cleveland Browns in a matchup of 2 teams in the AFC North heading in absolutely opposite directions. The Ravens come into this game absolutely cruising, guys. They've won 5 in a row after losing their first 2 games of the season. Last week, they won a crazy 41-31 game against Tampa Bay. Honestly, the game wasn't even really that close, but they've got to be feeling great about how things are going. Lamar Jackson looking like a monster out there, and yeah, things just went great there at Tampa Bay last week, guys. They dominated. We saw Lamar 5 passing touchdowns, 281 yards to the air. He also had 52 yards on the ground. Derrick Henry just killing it this season, guys. 169 yards on 15 carries. He didn't find his way into the end zone, so that's got to sting a little bit on such a crazy day, but he did have a receiving touchdown, which is also a little bit nuts for Derrick Henry. So yeah, the Ravens just killing it out there on offense. The problem for this team has been their defense, guys. It's been terrible this season. They gave up 31 points last week. They couldn't really stop the pass or the run, and this is not an isolated incident here for the Baltimore Ravens, guys. They've given up 25.7 points per game. That's tied for 26th in the NFL. This is not a defense that's done well against even bad teams or mediocre teams. I mean, gave up a ton of points against Dallas. They struggled in the first couple of weeks, and the defense has continued to struggle while the offense has really gotten going here. So definitely a lot of things to be concerned about here for the Ravens defense. They're a little bit banged up coming into this game as well. They're going to be very likely missing at least 1, if not 2 guys there from the secondary. Going to be missing at least 1 defensive lineman. So yeah, things not really shaping up that great on the defense side of the ball for the Ravens here. And good news is they're taking on the Cleveland Browns here, but the bad news is no more Deshaun Watson. He's out with a torn Achilles. So turns out maybe karma is real. Last week, Cleveland did not have a good time against Cincinnati, losing 21-14. But yeah, that was obviously a weird game. We saw Dorian Thompson-Robinson getting some work there at quarterback. Jameis Winston came in, looked much better. 5 of 11, 67 yards and a touchdown, and pretty limited action there. We saw Nick Chubb kind of struggle here out of the gate, which is a little bit sad. I would have liked to see him, come in and have a good game, starting things off, coming back from that really bad knee injury, but we'll see how things look. I'm expecting him to get better and better as the season goes on. David Njoku looked very good, 10 receptions, 76 yards and a touchdown. I do think there's some positive things that this Browns offense can do, especially now that they are rid of the, I don't know. It seems a little bit rough to say cancer of Deshaun Watson after the dude blows out his Achilles, but it doesn't seem like he was really making things better there for that team. So we'll see how things go. Their defense did some positive things. They stopped the run there against Cincinnati, which is going to be key here against Baltimore. You're not going to be stopping Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson. You just have to hope that you can slow them down a little bit. And over the course of the season, this Browns defense has not really looked like the Browns defense of yesteryear. They're 18th in the NFL, allowing 23.1 points per game. They've had some decent games, but it has not been against good teams. And the Baltimore Ravens have a case as maybe one of the best teams in the NFL right now. So looking at some numbers for this game, Cleveland, they're getting 8.5 points at home. We've got an over-under of 44.5. Guys, Baltimore 4-2-1 against the spread this season, 6-1 to the over. Cleveland 2-5 against the spread, and 5-2 to the under. This is going to be a little bit of a dead cat bounce type of situation here for the Cleveland Browns. I like the Browns getting all those points with Jameis Winston making the start. Is this going to be some sort of miracle situation where the Browns win this game straight up? That seems pretty unlikely to me, but I do expect them to keep this game close. And in terms of the over-under of 44.5, I think this is a great spot to look at the over. I think there's, some chance this could just be a massive blowout where Cleveland scores, like 35 or 40 points all on their own. And this Baltimore defense is not good enough to keep the Browns from scoring a little bit here. So definitely want to take a good hard look at that over. Next up, guys, we've got the Tennessee Titans going on the road to take on the Detroit Lions. The Titans not having a great time so far this season. They just got blown out last week at Buffalo. We saw them trade away, a couple major pieces from their team. Seems like they're kind of waving the white flag a little bit here, but we'll see what they do down the stretch. Obviously, teams don't want to really fold up and completely give up, but at 1-5, maybe it's starting to look like time a little bit, and they really got embarrassed last week against Buffalo, guys. Turns out making a quarterback change was not going to fix everything for the Titans. Mason Rudolph came in, completed 25 of 40 passes for 215 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. He was sacked 3 times. Pollard did do some good things in the running game, but when you're getting blown out there in the second half, it doesn't feel like too much. We did see the Titans go into halftime with a 10-7 lead, so that had to feel good, but for all of us Bills bettors out there, I don't know about you guys, but I was not too terrified out there. So definitely taking the win there on Buffalo. That was one of our premium picks. We'll definitely take that one. Didn't like really what we saw from the Titans. They turned the ball over a couple times. The defense couldn't stop the pass, couldn't really stop the run either. They had very few answers for Josh Allen out there. So yeah, just a rough overall day from the Titans, a team that's really not having a great time right now. And they're going on the road to take on a very tough opponent in the Detroit Lions, who come into this game 5-1 in the season. They just, edged out a very, very tough win against the Minnesota Vikings. They won back-to-back road games, so it has to feel pretty nice for them to come back home. And at 5-1, guys, they are squarely atop the standings there in the NFC North. So lots of positive things, but Detroit has to keep the pedal to the metal. There are 3 5-win teams and 1 4-win team there in the NFC North, looking like maybe the best, maybe the best group of 4 there in the NFL. So we'll see how things go. Obviously, the Lions can move the ball on the ground and through the air. Goff had another very, very good game, and the running game kept pace as well, guys. Gibbs putting up 116 yards and 2 touchdowns on the ground. Defensively, the Lions didn't look amazing in that game. They looked very, very vulnerable to the run. Will the Titans be able to run the ball against them? We'll have to wait and see. I would say it's maybe not impossible, but definitely some adjustments have to be made there on the Lions defense that is clearly no longer at full strength. So yeah, guys, looking at some numbers for this game, we see the Lions are big favorites, -11.5. We've got an over-under out there of 45. Unfortunately, not going to be able to give my lean on the side in this game, as that's going over to stumpthespread.com. Tennessee is 1-5 against the spread. Detroit is 5-1 against the spread. We've got some, very small over-under trends here, guys, but I do think this is a good spot to look at a little bit at that under 45. I don't think it's a massive value spot, but if you're determined to bet on the over-under in this game, I do think you could, take a little bit of that bet. I think it has some value to it. Hey guys, jumping in here with a quick ad break. First of all, this is a great time to sign up at stumpthespread.com. Signing up for a premium membership gets you access to our entire team of cappers covering MLB, NCAA football, UFC, and the NFL. If you just want to test out the service, a great way to do that is by joining our free email list, which will get the occasional free or premium pick straight to your inbox. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel if you're new, and become a channel member for early access to all of our NCAA football and NFL videos. Now guys, back to the games. Next on the docket, guys, we're looking at the Arizona Cardinals going on the road to take on the Miami Dolphins. The Cardinals come into this game fresh off of a 17-15 win there over the Chargers, but guys, at 3-4, on the season, in the NFC West, that's not looking that bad. They're only 1 game back of the Seattle Seahawks. So yeah, we'll see what the Cardinals can do down the stretch of this season. Last week against the Chargers, not going to say that was a pretty win, but it was a win, and you take those wins, guys. I mean, Kyler Murray, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, 145 yards on 14 of 26. Despite not getting sacked a single time, it doesn't feel great. Really, the positives for him and for the Cardinals offense in general were in the running game. Kyler Murray had 64 yards and a touchdown on the ground, and a big part of that was a 44-yard scamper. So they'll take that for sure. And James Conner was a workhorse, 19 carries, 101 yards there. So this is a team that's definitely going to have to run the ball. Marvin Harrison Jr. not exactly delivering on all the hype, although some of that blame probably has to go at the door of Kyler Murray. We'll see how things go, guys. It's been a little bit of a weird season out there for the Cardinals, don't get me wrong. And on defense, they did do a pretty good job against the the Chargers rushing attack, but they gave up a ton to the pass, gave up 349 passing yards. Not something we've seen the Chargers do a ton this season, but they were airing it out, and Herbert was up to the task for sure, guys. We saw the Cardinals really only turn the ball over 1 time. They generated 2 turnovers of their own, and that was key in the win. But guys, that was a very close win over a Chargers team that I don't really know what I think of yet. So we'll see what we get from the Cardinals here down the stretch. I do feel like they're a team that still has a lot to work on. The Dolphins come into this game. We're about to see the new look, or the old look, depending on how you want to look at it, Miami Dolphins, as Tua is going to be back for this game. So yeah, they lost 16-10 last week, but I don't think that's an indication of what this team is capable of doing this week. Tua being back, is he going to be at 100%? Apparently he took a long and cautious road back from his last concussion. That's at least what he's saying. And I mean, it seems like he took the allotted time, but man, every time this dude falls, how is he hitting his head on the back, the back of his head on the ground? So something's got to be figured out there. I hope he's going to be wearing that Guardian helmet because I do not want to see this young man turned into a vegetable. So we'll see how things go. Obviously expecting nice stuff from Tua here. A little bit of injury concern here for Tyreek Hill dealing with a foot problem, but all signs are really, pointed to him very likely to play in this game. And with Waddle and Tyreek out there, this should be a very dynamic pass-catching duo once again now that they've got their quarterback under center. On defense, coming off a game, they only gave up 16 points. They've played well the last couple of weeks. Obviously, a bad game there against the Titans, but generally speaking, guys, Miami's been in a really bad spot, and it's nice to see them having something of a bounce back. The defense not going to be at full strength, probably going to be missing one guy on the defensive line and one guy in the secondary, but relatively close to full strength, and it's not like they're taking on an offensive juggernaut in this game. So we'll see how things work out here for the Dolphins. Obviously, they're going to be in much better shape here with their starting quarterback ready to go. And looking at the numbers for this game, guys, Arizona 4-3 against the spread this season, 3-1 to the over/under. Miami 1-5 against the spread this year, and 5-1 to the under. Can't take a whole lot from those trends, especially for Miami. Having a starting quarterback or not having a starting quarterback can make a pretty big difference. In this game, guys, we're going to be zeroing in on that over/under of 46. I do think we're going to see more offense in this game. I would shade a little bit here towards the over. It's not a play that's likely to end up in the pinned comment, but I do think taking the over in this game has some value. Next up, guys, we have the New York Jets going on the road here to take on the New England Patriots. Last week was pretty much a nightmare for the Jets, and kind of this whole season has been a nightmare for them, to be honest. They're 2-5 overall. They've now lost 4 straight games, and yeah, some of those losses in there had to feel really, really rough. They were in position to win games against teams like Denver, Minnesota, and Buffalo, but last week at Pittsburgh, guys, they got absolutely dismantled. The first game there of, the reunion between, Aaron Rodgers there and Devontae Adams did not go as according to plan. Rodgers turned the ball over a couple times, 2 interceptions there, 276 yards passing and a touchdown, but that is not going to outweigh those interceptions. And the running game couldn't get going. They're obviously going against a very tough defense, but yeah, just not a lot of positives there for the offense. I mean, yeah, Lazard had more receptions and more yards there than Devontae Adams. So we'll see how this goes down the stretch, guys. I think, things will get a little bit back to, I don't know if normal is the right word, but I do think this offense is going to get a little bit better. Although there's legitimate questions swirling out there. Does Aaron Rodgers just suck now? So we'll see if that happens to be the case. He obviously gets an easy matchup in this one, but the Jets defense is going to have to do something out there. They could not stop the run last week. They didn't have any answers for Russell Wilson either, which is pretty embarrassing given, where Russell Wilson's generally at in his career at this point. Maybe he's good again. I'm not holding my breath, guys. We'll have to wait and see. But yeah, not a great day for the Jets defense. That hasn't been terrible this season. I'm not going to act like they've been a crappy defense. They're 11th in the NFL, allowing 20 points per game. That's not the end of the world. But this team hasn't done a lot of great things. So definitely a bit worried. Obviously, getting Reddick back should be nice, but this is a team that still has a lot to show here if they want to be given any respect in the league this season. And they're taking on the New England Patriots, who come into this game 1-6 on the season, just got destroyed by the Jaguars there, 32-16. This is a team that pretty much came into the season without hope, and they are delivering on all of that lack of any sort of expectation. It's been terrible, guys. We saw Drake May. He looked better. We got to give him some credit. I mean, 2 touchdowns, 276 yards, completed 26 of 37 passes, was only sacked twice, and did, had a couple nifty running plays there. I mean, 3 carries for 18 yards, but it seems like the Patriots are really just going to hand him the rock and say, go out there, do whatever, kid, because that's what they were having him do against the Jaguars. I'm sure, being down big had something to do with that. But yeah, just not a lot of positive things to say for the Patriots right now on offense outside of Drake May. You're developing a young guy. Hope that works out. But other than that, not a lot of great things going on. And the defense got absolutely shredded last week by the Jacksonville running attack, guys. Even Trevor Lawrence looked pretty good, and he's had a terrible season. But yeah, Bigsby looked great running the ball. 26 carries, 118 yards, and 2 touchdowns in that game there at Wembley Stadium in London. So yeah, big stuff there for Jacksonville. They did not turn the ball over in the game. So yeah, not a banner day for this Patriots defense that was supposed to be the better part of this team, and it did not look good. It hasn't looked good this season at all. 25 points a game, 24th in the NFL. This is not a good defense. And looking at the numbers of this game, guys, we see the Patriots are getting 7 points at home. We've got an over-under of 41 out there. The Jets are only 2-5 against the spread this year. They're 3-1 to the over-under. New England 1-5-1 against the spread this year, 4-3 to the over. In general in this game, guys, and it's not one of my favorite games, but I do think there's some value on taking the Jets here at -7. I do think Rodgers and company are kind of going to figure things out what that's worth here in a game against the New England Patriots. I don't really know. Not going to be freaking out either way, but I do think you want to be on the Jets to win and cover in, pretty comfortable fashion this one. In terms of the over-under of 41, kind of tough to know which way to go. I would lean a bit towards the under. I just don't see the Patriots doing too many positive things, and that Jets defense is not that bad. So I think we definitely want to be on, a little bit on the under, but mostly just on the Jets here to win this game by more than 7 points. Jumping in with our first ever sportsbook ad, guys, and I am super excited to tell you about BetOpenly. They are unlike any regular sportsbook out there. Their whole goal is to facilitate peer-to-peer betting. So instead of them having a vested interest in you winning or losing your bet, they just want to match you up with a real person who wants the opposite side. At BetOpenly, you will be paying drastically reduced juice on your bets, close to 1% instead of the 10% you would pay at any of the big guys. Not having to fight that built-in house edge sounds pretty great to me. BetOpenly supports all your favorite bets, including props and parlays, and get this, guys, you can even be the house on parlays, meaning you only need a single leg to win to cash your bet. Most importantly, BetOpenly will never limit your account for being a consistent winner, which is something that happens all the time on the bigger sites. If you're interested in signing up, click the referral link in the description of this video and let's cash some bets. Now, guys, back to the games. Next on the docket, guys, we got the Atlanta Falcons going on the road to take on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in a matchup of the two teams tied there atop the NFC South. The Falcons come into this game fresh off of a terrible performance, a 34-14 loss last week against the Falcons that absolutely burned me. We saw Kirk Cousins look terrible in that game. 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions, sacked 3 times, completed only 24 of 35 passes for 232 yards. Not what we have come to expect here from Kirk Cousins. And the running game was doing well, guys. Robinson had 21 carries for 103 yards and a touchdown. Algier had 36 yards on his 5 carries. Kyle Pitts had a decent game catching the ball. Drake London had 6 receptions for 63 yards and a touchdown. It was just those bad mistakes there from Kirk Cousins against a pretty bad Seattle defense. And, this was a game the Falcons were playing at home. I definitely would have expected much better work here from their offense in general, and especially from Kirk Cousins. But hey, everybody's going to have some off days, guys, and it's time for Kirk Cousins to shake it off. He turned the ball over a total of 3 times last week. That is a un-Kirk Cousins-like performance. On defense, we didn't love what we saw from the Falcons either. They did okay against the run. They struggled a bit against the pass. They didn't generate any turnovers in the game, so that's not really, going to work out, especially in a game where your quarterback's having a bad night. So I think we'll see the Falcons defense be a little bit better here against a very familiar opponent. Over the course of the year, though, they have not been a good defense. 22nd, allowing 24.1 points per game. So gonna need something a little bit better here from the Falcons defense as they take on the Buccaneers, who come into this game fresh off of a 41-31 loss against Baltimore that wasn't actually that close of a game. At 4-3 in the season, they're still tied atop the NFC South, but this is not looking like one of the more impressive groups here in the NFL. In that loss against Baltimore, guys, we saw Baker Mayfield look very mistake-prone once again. 2 interceptions in the game, sacked 3 times. He did pass for 370 yards, so got to give him some credit there. They couldn't go too much to the running game, but when they did, it worked out pretty well. As a team, they combined for 30 carries and 125 yards, but those were spread out over a lot of guys. We saw Otten look great in the passing game once again, a young up-and-comer for sure. 8 receptions for 100 yards out there, so very nice stuff in general. But yeah, just came up short there. They put up 21 points in the 4th quarter to make this thing look respectable, but it was not respectable, guys, for the vast majority of the game. On defense, the Buccaneers got absolutely shredded, giving up 5 touchdowns, couldn't stop the run, couldn't stop the pass, had no answer really there for Lamar Jackson and company. It was really rough stuff. And over the course of the season, they've been one of the worst defenses in the National Football League, giving up 26 points per game. So that's pretty rough, guys. And the Buccaneers are not going to be healthy coming into this game. Mike Evans is confirmed out for this one, so missing one of your best pass catchers, not a great look. We also see Tyke Smith going to be out on the defensive side of the ball, so not the full strength Buccaneers in this game. Guys, looking at the numbers for this one, the Buccaneers are getting 2.5 points at home. We've got an over-under of 45.5. I love the Atlanta Falcons in this game. Definitely giving the Falcons. It's going right there in the pinned comment. Kirk Cousins coming off a loss in his career, guys, is 40-26. That's a pretty wild number. Road public favorites are 62% against the spread the last 2 years. That's crazy that has worked out in that fashion. Atlanta only 3-4 against the spread and 4-3 to the under. Tampa Bay 4-3 against the spread, 5-2 to the over. I definitely think this is an over spot. Go ahead and give me over 45.5 in this game as well. But I love the Falcons here. I think they're in a great position to get a nice bounce back, and Kirk Cousins, kind of the king of bounce back performances. Next up, guys, we've got the Green Bay Packers going on the road to take on the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Packers come into this game fresh off of a very close 24-22 win there over the Houston Texans. At 5-2 on the season, Green Bay can't be too sad about how things are going. We saw Jordan Love get picked off twice last week, which isn't a great look, but they did come away with the win, so I guess all's well that ends well. Josh Jacobs had a good day running the ball, and the wide receiver group looked pretty good. The defense did generate 4 sacks there against CJ Stroud, really dominated against the pass, but struggled a bit against the run. If that was the game plan, I guess well done, but maybe not the most convincing performance. And generally speaking, this season, the Packers defense seems like it really depends a lot on generating those turnovers. And when they do, things go great. When they don't, things go pretty bad. So definitely some concerns here for the Packers overall. I mean, they're a good team, don't get me wrong, but they've had their problems. They're a little banged up on defense, could be missing a couple guys there up front, but we'll see how that goes closer to game time. In terms of their opponent for this game, guys, we saw the Jaguars finally get a win again. I mean, they got a London win. Shocker, the Jaguars playing well in London, but they're only 2-5 on the season despite getting that 32-16 win last week, guys. Yeah, the Jaguars have been a little bit unlucky this season. I definitely have to say that, but Trevor Lawrence has played poorly. Last week, a bit of a bounce back, 15 of 20 for 193 yards and a touchdown. No interceptions, sacked 0 times. We saw Bigsby looked great out there in the running game, 26 carries, 118 yards in 2 touchdowns. Generally speaking, the defense looked great, or pretty good, I guess. Great against the run, maybe not so hot against the pass there. We'll see how that translates here going up against the Green Bay Packers, but over the course of the year, the Jaguars defense obviously not the best. Looking at the numbers for this game, guys, we see the Jaguars are getting 4 points at home. We've got an over-under out there of 49.5. Guys, the pros really, really like the Jaguars in this spot. It's a good matchup for them. They've been an unlucky team to some extent this season. They're good at running the ball up the middle, which is a weakness of the Packers. Green Bay is 4-3 against the spread, 3-1 to the over-under. Jacksonville is only 3-4 against the spread and 4-3 to the over, so not horrifying numbers. I definitely think this is a spot you want to be on the Jaguars at +4. I think the Packers are going to struggle a little bit with the hot weather down there in Florida. That's a problem too, so yeah, go ahead and give me the Jaguars here at +4. Very likely to end up in the pin comment. I also think you probably want to take a little bit of a look at under 49.5. That just seems like a little bit too many points here given what these two teams want to do in terms of running the ball. But my bigger lean in this one, definitely the Jaguars and the points. Next up, guys, we've got the Indianapolis Colts going on the road to take on the Houston Texans in an AFC South showdown. The Colts come into this game fresh off of a win there over Miami. And guys, it seems like things are turning around a little bit for the Colts, guys. We've got Jonathan Taylor, coming back from his ankle injury, and at 4-3 on the season, they're only 1 game back here of their opponent in this game, the Houston Texans. Last week against Miami, obviously not a pretty win, but a win nonetheless. 16-10 win there for the Colts, thanks to 6 points scored there in the fourth quarter. Anthony Richardson still continues to struggle mightily passing the ball, only 10 of 24 last week for 129 yards, but he didn't throw to the other team and he didn't get sacked, and he did manage to run the ball 14 times for 56 yards. So there were definitely some positives out there for sure. Defensively, the Colts looked amazing. Giving up only 10 points to any NFL level team is nice. Are the Dolphins an NFL level team when they don't have Tua? That's a little bit up in the air, so we'll see what they can do in this one. They did struggle a bit there against the run, and they're going up against the Houston Texans team with Joe Mixon that is not afraid to run the ball. Obviously, this is a big bounce back spot for CJ Stroud after a really just horrendous game there against the Packers. I mean, he wasn't picked off, but he passed for under 100 yards. Like, that is a big, big yikes to me. Yeah, it turns out maybe that connection with Stephon Diggs is not quite as good as his connection with Nico Collins, who remains out for this game, so that's not a great look. The Texans defense gave up 24 points. They did have 2 interceptions last week against Green Bay, but they're going to be missing at least 2, maybe 3 to 4 starters for this game. So some tough news there for the Texans defense, which, I mean, over the course of the season, I'm not going to say they've been terrible, but I'm also not going to say they're elite. 17th in the NFL, giving up over 22 points per game. So looking at the numbers for this one, we see the Texans as big favorites. They're -5 in this game. We got an over-under of 45.5 out there. The Colts 8-1 against, or 6-1 against the spread this season. They are 4-3 to the under. Houston 3-1 against the spread, 5-2 to the under themselves. Guys, these are two teams that love to run the ball. Definitely give me a big look here at under 45.5. Is this going to end up in the pinned comment? I'd say it maybe has a chance. I can tell you that I do have a premium pick on this game over at stumpthespread.com on the side, but definitely my free pick in this video, guys, is going to be a lean here towards the under 45.5. Next on the docket, we've got the New Orleans Saints going on the road here to take on the Los Angeles Chargers. The Saints are having a nightmare of a season after that fairy tale start. They've now lost 4 in a row. They just lost 33-10 against Denver last week, getting absolutely dominated. It does sound like Olave and Hill are going to be playing in this game, but most importantly, guys, it looks like we are once again going to be not seeing Derek Carr. He's officially doubtful for this game, but I don't think we're going to see him come back and play, or at least that's what all the reports that I'm currently seeing. I mean, doubtful means very, very likely out. That oblique thing is not going to be something that's going to heal quickly. He was throwing earlier this week, but yeah, not a great look. Not a great look. Don't think we're going to see Derek Carr in this game. Other than that, I mean, they're starting to get a little bit healthier, but still not at full strength. Still going to be missing guys on the offensive line and still going to have a non-starting level quarterback there under center. So can't love that. Can't love how this team has been playing lately. I mean, they got dominated by Denver, just not having a good time. It has to be devastating for Saints fans who had to be so hyped after the success they had early on. So we'll see what they can do here going up against the Los Angeles Chargers. We did see Bosa come back and play in a limited role, or we're projected to see him come back and play in a limited role here in this game. So that is a step in the right direction. Last week, they took a very, very tough 17-15 loss there at Arizona. But at 3-3 on the season, things aren't, all doom and gloom for the Chargers, who, are supposed to be in a little bit of a rebuild mode here under their new head coach. But we'll see how things go. Obviously, a frustrating loss last week. Herbert had one of his best games of the season throwing the ball, though. 27 of 39, almost 350 yards. He was sacked 3 times, but didn't throw a single interception. On the same side of the coin there, he didn't throw a touchdown pass either, so we'll see how things develop here, but it was great to see Herbert throwing the ball well again. The running game did not really work out there against the Cardinals, which was a little bit shocking. Dobbins, 14 carries, 40 yards, not a great look. The defense looked good, holding the Cardinals to only 17 points, picking off Kyler Murray once. Only one turnover wasn't enough to, stem the tide, but that was a good look. They did struggle against James Conner there in the running game, which might be a little bit of a concern here going up against the Saints, but they have not been finding very much success running the ball as of late either. So we'll kind of have to see how things go. Generally speaking in this game, guys, I mean, we're looking at the Chargers here at -7. We got an over-under of 41. New Orleans is 3-4 against the spread, 5-2 to the over this year. The Chargers are 3-3 against the spread and 5-1 to the under. Guys, I'm going to be taking the Chargers here at -7. I just don't like anything I'm seeing from the Saints right now. This Chargers defense is absolutely elite, and we see Bosa back. That's going to help this even more. I think we're going to see a blowout win here for the Chargers, and by blowout, I mean I could see them winning this game something around, a terms of 20-10 or, 17-0, something like that. So you could definitely talk me into the under 41 as well. I think that's a great spot. The Chargers are a huge under team this season, so go ahead and give me the under as well, but my main lean is going to be the Chargers here at -7. That one's definitely going in the pinned comment. Next up, guys, we've got the Buffalo Bills going on the road to take on the Seattle Seahawks. The Bills come into this game fresh off of a blowout win there over Tennessee. Things were looking a little bit sketchy in the first half, not going to lie, but they came back, made it look easy there in the second half, outscoring Tennessee 27-0. Josh Allen, a great day, 2 passing touchdowns, 323 yards through the air. He was only sacked once in the game, so that's nice, and didn't have to do too much on the ground. We saw Davis and Cook look good in the running game, and just generally speaking, a very clean game in the second half there for the Bills. So they've got to be feeling pretty great, giving up only 10 points on defense last week, albeit to a bad team. Over the course of the season, guys, how high are we on this Bills defense? I mean, they're 7th in the NFL, giving up 19.4 points per game. They did struggle against some better teams, but against all the, mediocre teams, they've looked very, very good. And we'll see what they're going up against today in terms of whether the Seahawks are an elite or non-elite team. That question's still up in the air. They did have a nice win last week at Atlanta, winning 34-14, so they'll definitely take that, but I'm still not sure if I 100% buy in here on the Seahawks. I mean, that's by far their best performance of the season, don't get me wrong. Geno Smith, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. The running game looked good. The defense looked very, very good, but was this just a case of Kirk Cousins having a terrible game, or is the Seattle Seahawks defense suddenly good? We're going to have to wait and see, guys. I'm not super high on this defense, to be honest. I mean, they're 19th in the NFL, giving up 23.4 points per game. They gave up 29 points against the Giants. They gave up 42 points against Detroit. Are they going to just be able to shut down the Buffalo Bills? Now, it's going to be interesting to see. The odds makers have this one really, really close. Seattle's getting 3 points here at home. We got an over-under of 46.5. Guys, both these teams are showing trends towards the over. Buffalo 4-3 to the over. Seattle 5-2 to the over. I have a premium pick on the side in this game, but I definitely think the over here is some very good value. Over 46.5, I think we will see plenty of offense in this game. Both teams like to sling it. Both teams like to run it. It does suck that DK Metcalf is, probably not going to be playing in this game for Seattle, but I still think they're going to find a way to put up plenty of offense. Next on the docket, we've got the Carolina Panthers going on the road to take on the Denver Broncos. Carolina comes into this game, guys, having a rough season. They lost last week 40-7 against the Washington Commanders. Yeah, things are kind of going from bad to worse here for Carolina. We saw Andy Dalton get in a car wreck in the during the week, so that's not a great look. And now we are going back, guys. We are going back to Bryce Young starting for this Carolina Panthers team. Has he had time to learn and maybe improve a little bit? We'll see. We'll see. Kind of a big ask if you ask me. The dude looked very much lost out there, and we do see the Panthers offense not at full strength for this game either. Looking a bit rough out there. I mean, yeah, just not a lot of positives, guys. We've got a couple guys questionable on the offensive line. Deontay Johnson's going to be out for this game. Tommy Tremble questionable there at tight end. And on defense, they're going to be missing 3 to 4 guys, it looks like. So a lot of problems there for the Carolina Panthers. And just in general this season, they've had a really, really rough way to go. They're the worst defense in the National Football League. They're 28th in passing yards per game, and just not a lot of positives. So we'll see what they can do here going on the road to take on the Denver Broncos, who got a 33-10 win last week against the New Orleans Saints. Yeah, they're 4-3 on the season. They're, well back of Kansas City, who's dominating the AFC West, but I do think there's some reason for optimism here for the Denver Broncos. I mean, last week we did see, very good stuff, obviously on defense, but great stuff from Bo Nix once again, limiting the mistakes. He, only passed for 164 yards, but he ran for 75. We saw Javonte Williams dominating the running game, 14 carries for 88 yards and 2 touchdowns on the ground. And this Broncos team has absolutely no problem with just grinding out these wins through the running game. They looked good on defense, albeit not against a full strength or anywhere near full strength Saints team, but they looked very, very good out there. They did turn the ball over once. That's something to work on, but they generated 2 turnovers of their own, so more than making up for that. They had 6 sacks in the game. This is a Broncos team that is absolutely, very, very solid out there on defense. And the odds makers really agree, guys. We've got Denver -11 in this game. We've got an over-under of 41. Carolina 1-6 against the spread, 5-2 to the over. Denver 5-2 against the spread, and 4-3 to the over as well. This is a weird spot, guys. I'm honestly leaning a little bit towards the over 41 here. And in terms of the the side, this is a gross one, but I honestly think we want to be shading a little bit here towards the Carolina Panthers getting 11 points. I know it feels super dirty, but this team is only 1-6 against the spread this season. They just cannot continue to lose and get blown out in these games. Overall, this is going to be a spot that I avoid, guys. I'm not going to be on this game or on this over-under in any meaningful way. I'm also not super interested in watching this game. Obviously, we're going to watch it. Got to do it, but it's going to be an ugly, ugly game. So we'll see what happens. If it is a super ugly game, though, I feel like that gives the points even more value. Next on the docket, we've got the Kansas City Chiefs going on the road to take on the Las Vegas Raiders. The Chiefs come into this game still undefeated. They are 6-0 on the season after a 28-18 win at the San Francisco 49ers. Obviously not the full strength 49ers necessarily, but the Chiefs looked really good in that game in some aspects, especially on defense. But Mahomes looked so bad out there, guys. Picked off twice, no passing touchdowns in the game. He did run for a touchdown and for 39 yards, but what is going on with Patrick Mahomes this season? It is not looking normal. We saw Kareem Hunt have a good day on the ground, 78 yards, 2 touchdowns on 22 carries. Andy Reid still, scheming up some very, very good games, but Mahomes just really, I don't know, seems uncomfortable out there. So we'll see how things, continue to develop with the Chiefs, but he's not having a great time. Obviously, going out and adding in a premier level wide receiver is nice, but we'll see how that works out. Obviously, the first week here, I don't expect, any sort of miracles from Hopkins, but like I said, we'll see how that goes. On defense last week, the Chiefs were amazing. 3 interceptions there against Brock Purdy. They did a good job of holding this elite, San Francisco running game in check, and just did a good job across the board. They really beat up the, 49ers. They have a lot of question marks here coming into this week on who's going to be available to play, so we'll see how that goes. But right now, guys, the Chiefs' defense seems to be the primary strength, and they're going to be hoping for another good game here, taking on the Raiders, who haven't been having a great time lately, losing 3 in a row. They lost last week 20-15 against the Rams. They had some chances in that game, I suppose, but it's been a rough way to go here for the Raiders, guys. And last week against the Rams, not a whole lot of positives to look at. I mean, obviously losing 20-15. Minshew looked terrible out there. The running game looked good, so that's pretty much the main positive, but their defense couldn't do a ton against the Rams running attack, and that's what led them to lose that game 20-15. So looking at the numbers for this one, we see the Raiders as big underdogs getting 9.5 points. We've got an over-under of 41.5 out there. This is a big pros Joes spot, guys. The Joes love the Chiefs. The pros love the Raiders. And guys, I think while we have missed the best of this number, I think taking the Raiders here at plus 9.5 is very reasonable. I think we'll see a close game here. You know, Mahomes doesn't not historically do great as a big favorite. I think the Chiefs will win this game, but I think it'll be close. Give me the Raiders and the points. And in terms of the over-under here, I would lean just a hair towards the under, but not an over-under spot that I'm in love with. The Chiefs are 5-1 against the spread this season, but I don't think that's going to matter in this one. Next up, guys, we've got a game with some very interesting variables still remaining. We've got the Chicago Bears going on the road to take on the Washington Commanders. The Bears are coming into this game fresh off of their bye week. Caleb Williams has been a monster recently. The Bears secondary is a little bit banged up, but week before last, technically, they took advantage of the Jacksonville Jaguars, winning 35-16 in a London game. With Caleb Williams looking nuts out there in a London game, the first rookie to look good in his first international game. The Bears have now won 3 in a row. They're 4-2 on the season, which has them technically in last place there in the NFC North, which is pretty crazy, but definitely still within striking distance and definitely a team to keep your eye on. Obviously, you know, over the course of the season, the defense has been very good, but like I said, they are dealing with some injuries coming into this game. They're 24th in the NFL in rushing yards per game, but I'm not looking at their running game as a major weakness. Overall, this team looking pretty good aside from those injuries right now. They're taking on a team that has to be very concerned with an injury situation right now. They're taking on the Commanders, who are very likely to be without their starting quarterback in this game. Jaden Daniels dealing with that rib injury. They're coming off a 40-7 win there over the Carolina Panthers, and they are in the top spot in the NFC East, so maybe that's part of the reason the Commanders might not be in a big hurry to rush him back. Without Jaden Daniels last week, guys, you know, for the majority of the game there against Carolina, we did see some positive things from the Commanders. Mariota came in, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, 1 sack, so, you know, good stuff there. The running game was fully online, and Mariota is a veteran quarterback that should be capable of running at least a slightly similar offense to what the Commanders want to do, but it's very concerning. You might be without your starting quarterback for this game. We'll see how things go. Obviously, defensively, they were great last week against the hapless Carolina Panthers, but over the course of the season, they're still 15th in the NFL in points allowed per game. They gave up a ton of points to the Baltimore Ravens. Everybody does that, but also a ton to Cincinnati. I don't know. It's just not a defense that I'm completely sold on, guys. So looking at the numbers for this game, we see the Commanders getting 3 points at home, which indicates to me that the odds makers do not anticipate Jaden Daniels playing. Chicago, they are 4-1 against the spread. Washington 5-1 against the spread. This is just 2 teams that have been having a great time, guys. Generally speaking, looking at the numbers for this game, I'm going to be taking the Bears here at -3 with a lot of confidence if we find out that Jaden Daniels is 100% not going to play. If he is going to play, well, you know, guys, you're going to have to keep track of the pinned comment on this one. There's really not a whole lot I can do about this. They're probably not going to release whether or not he's going to play until like 90 minutes or maybe 2 hours before game time. We'll get if this happens, if this news comes out on Saturday, I think we'll be super lucky. So keep an eye on the pinned comment. We'll see what happens there. In terms of the over/under, obviously whether or not Jaden Daniels plays in this game, the over/under will be drastically affected, but we'll see. Right now, I'm leaning slightly towards the over 43, but like I said, got to keep an eye on that pinned comment. We do not know if this one's going to go up, down, or sideways. Last but not least, guys, we are looking at the Sunday night football matchup between the Dallas Cowboys and the San Francisco 49ers. The Cowboys come into this game fresh off of their bye week, which they probably needed to try and get the taste of getting absolutely destroyed by the Detroit Lions out of their mouth. The Cowboys are only 3-3 on the season. They've been all over the place, and by all over the place, I mean mostly bad. They were really good in week 1. Other than that, it's been kind of a nightmare. Dak has been wildly, just all over the place. That's the best way I can describe this team, is just all over the place. Shocker of the year, that Ezekiel Elliott signing is not working out. This team hasn't been great at running the ball. They do come into this game getting relatively healthy, and there's some nice trends that point towards Zach playing well on extended rest and McCarthy doing well coming off a bye week. But yeah, just it's been a weird situation out there for the Dallas Dallas Cowboys this season. So maybe they'll have gotten things figured out over the bye week. Micah Parsons is going to miss his third straight game, so not enough rest for him to be back and healthy for this game, but definitely some concerns here for me about the Dallas Cowboys. And they're going on the road here to take on the 49ers, a team that might have more concern, guys, because they are super duper banged up. Losing Ayuk for the season, really tough look there. We've got Kittle and Debo both questionable for this game. I don't think either one of them are going to be at full strength if they do end up playing. Obviously, McCaffrey is still out. We are leaving poor little Brock Purdy out there on kind of an island by himself with very few options. So yeah, not a great look right now for the 49ers. The defense has to really carry the load, and they are relatively healthy, but they, they're missing a lot of guys that they started the season with. So over the course of the year, the 49ers have pretty much been devastated by injury. So we'll see what they're able to do in this game. They're 4-point favorites. We've got an over-under out there of 47. This is going to be one of my premium picks, guys, and I'm going to go ahead and give it to you here. Don't tell anyone, but my premium pick on this game is going to be the Dallas Cowboys getting 4 points here on the road against a 49ers team that's super banged up. Dallas has a huge rest advantage. McCarthy and Dak are very good coming off of bye week, so I'm expecting good stuff from them in this game against the shell of a team that we're looking at with the San Francisco 49ers. So definitely give me Dallas and the points in this spot. That's all the games we have for today, guys. Hit that like button for good luck on all of your bets and subscribe to the channel if you're new. Let me know in the comments any questions you have on today's slate. Thanks for watching. You can click the link in the description to check out StompTheSpread.com, and we will see you guys tomorrow for more sports betting action.